begin with the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Discussion? Motion is made and second to approve the agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Okay, on pages 1 through 4 are the minutes from our last meeting. I think it's the last regular meeting and the emergency meeting. Yeah.
Make a motion, we approve both meetings' minutes.
Okay,
Second.
discussion. Hearing none, motion is made and second to approve the last regular scheduled meeting and also the emergency meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Public input. I was sitting back reminiscing today and come on, Ron. I'll go second.
Is that on?
Is that on, Ron?
Is it on?
Now it is, yes.
I just want to thank each and every one of you for the quick response in getting my sewer fixed. I think that was a good job done. I think you guys are doing a good job, and I want to wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you, Ron.
Thanks, Ron. You
Same
too.
to you.
You
Same
too
to
as
you.
well. Everything worked out in that situation. I mean, the amount of time that when we were notified with regard to the issue, with the availability of Olson Construction and the weather, so everything, pretty much, was cooperated.
Are we still going forward with the engineers to see where all of this,
We'll look at that.
how that happened?
We'll look at that on number 2.
Okay,
And again, reminiscing, I just, holiday season and how grateful I am. I'm very appreciative to be able to sit here, and I'm equally appreciative to work with the 6 of you. I just, I think we've pretty much been on the same page. We may have disagreed on a few things, but I think we've conducted the city's business in a good manner. Another thing I was very much appreciative of, I think one of the fortunate things about being mayor is, and having the opportunity to come up to City Hall to visit with the workers. I just want to commend each and every one of them for what they do. And sometimes you really don't know what's going on by just kind of sitting back and watching, being involved, but they're engaged, they're on top of things, and I just appreciate everything that they, put into their work on behalf of the city. So with that, I want to thank you all, and I also want to thank the city workers and the patrons of our community too as well. So with that, any other public input?
I just have one. Thanks to the fire department for the invite. Last night I went and had some good chili and a good burger, some good conversation. So I appreciate the invite.
And as I do too, unfortunately, I traveled a little over almost 3 hours to watch my granddaughter in a Christmas concert, and I apologize to some of the firemen for not being there. And but it was I bet this chili and the soup was good, wasn't it?
Chili was good. I didn't have any of the oyster stuff.
You could have saved a bowl for me.
You can help yourself.
Okay, hearing no other public input. Okay, we'll go to unfinished business with regard to the policy manual change with regard to inclement weather and the old, or the present policy and just more or less somewhat of a recommendation are found on page 5. And thinking as a committee, the committee hasn't, met as of last meeting with regard to this. And people are, well, what do you do? We'll just do what the policy says we'll do, you know, and, until something is changed with that regard, so. Okay. If there's any, discussion or comment with regard to that, go have the committee meeting and have maybe the committee report back. I know going over the holidays, it might be a touchy time,
Second meeting in January, I'm guessing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, I mean, for the committee meeting, yes.
What's the objective? Is it to pick one of these or to write one altogether new, or what are we trying to do?
Well, we're trying to modify it any way we feel that needs to be modified. And I think the one thing that was, brought up is with regard to, who has not so necessarily authority, but the chain by which, the city hall was closed, you know. And if you look on page 5, I think that first part with our old policy, all closures proclaimed as a weather-related related or acts of God by the governor of the state of South Dakota, or as deemed necessary by the mayor, you know. To clarify that, can the governor do it, or it says, or by the mayor, will be paid as a standard workday. I know there's some discussion last time with regard to the pay aspect. Whether or not, you know, the governor obviously has and rightfully so, the concerns of the entire state of South Dakota. But we lived in more of a confined area, and if we, you know, having that too. And if she shuts down the entire state, then I think that might be something, you know, a little bit different too, so. But I think we could still act upon that itself. I think that's just mainly with the topic of discussion.
Do we want to work that out as a council, or does that need to go to committee?
Me as a member of the committee, feel as though we could definitely have a committee meeting about streamlining it, but a little direction from the whole council about what we're looking to get out of the
Yeah.
policy would be helpful. So when we do go to a committee meeting, we can strive to reach them goals on, because some more subjects got brought up last council meeting about if they're paid or not was brought up, but that wasn't addressed at all at the previous committee meeting. So we just wanna know what the council's intentions are of what we want to address, and then maybe then the committee meeting, or the personnel committee would meet and try to address all them objectives. I think that might be easier as a member, not the head, but as a member of the committee.
Okay. And then I would entertain any questions, just kind of, so there's no sidebar or anything, you just direct that to a committee member on that committee with regard to any input or recommendations or ideas.
Okay.
So,
So should it be discussed more in length here at the meeting so that you know what the whole council feels on the subject? Because it does take 6 people to put this in
yeah,
force, so,
We don't wanna have to do it twice
Yeah.
if we have to go to a committee meeting.
It's a
We'd
lot.
rather just
Yeah.
have the objectives, and then we can
Yeah.
fine tune that.
Yeah, because otherwise we're gonna end up with, we could go and have a committee meeting and then come back like we did, and then there was other issues and stuff that were brought up, and now we gotta go back to another committee meeting to try to do it again. And we may miss some things again if we don't have the full council, you know, having some input some way, so that we know what they're wanting.
well, without objection, what we could do is we could go through, you know, the sentence by sentence tonight and see if there's any recommendation. The first one, it says, as all closures proclaimed as weather-related or acts of God as deemed necessary by the mayor upon recommendation by the police officer on duty and county emergency management and acting street department head will be paid as a standard workday. Okay, first of all, I think there's 2 things in there. I think closing City Hall and that of being paid as a standard workday.
Yep.
So those
I
are,
thought we talked about at the last meeting, the county has a similar policy and how many days they got last winter, just on Keller tonight, how many times the interstate had been closed by this time last year. And I thought somebody said it was a lot of times that
14, I think.
So it was 2
yeah,
weeks of,
but if you remember, last year by this time, I don't know if we went back to school after that first big snowstorm. I can't remember that, but we were waist deep in snow, if I remember, or close to that at this time last year. You know, so,
Last year's not gonna be the average
No,
of the policy,
no.
but it's going to be a possibility to affect, expense of occasional years.
yeah, Dale brings up a good point too, as well as you do, Patrick, so. But I think those are,
I don't think anybody had the issue of how we're gonna operate on who shuts City Hall down, whether it's going to be the mayor's going to make the decision upon recommendations. I don't think that was in question. I can be completely wrong, but I didn't hear any objection to that part of the policy.
okay, and I just want everybody to know, if that does happen, I am going to be listening to other individuals as well as using, you know, my own judgments with regard to that too as well, you know. But also with that, I think we went through that, I'm thinking, Councilman Price went through some of the policies of who is expected to be here, even though the city hall is closed, we still have like the street department and others on, you know, with regard to
Well,
that.
that was one of the points that I had kind of hit on last time too, is that if you pay it as, if you close City Hall, have a paid day off, a vast majority of the employees still have to come into work. And I don't know if that's
I know
right,
we.
they gotta come in and they get paid normal.
I know we eliminated, the electric department. That was one that was in the essential employees. We eliminated the electric department. That's another difference.
But don't they help the street department when there's a storm? How,
I know if they're called by Ron, if they
but
need
if
help
it's a
for.
storm that's shutting things down, wouldn't they be normally or no?
I think being we just
Well-
bought a snowplow for the electric department, we should probably let them go move snow.
Yeah, keep in mind though too, that may have to come into play because of the amount of time that they can put in within a time frame. You know, the number of hours, so we have to make sure that we stay by that too, so it may,
How does that affect this, what we're saying? I'm
Nothing.
I'm not following you.
no, nothing other,
The way that was affecting is like the street department, if they have to be here at 8 o'clock in the morning, and they can't start actually moving snow because it's a blizzard until say 4 or 5, they're limited on how many hours they can actually work, cause they came in at 8, so they gotta stop in 16 hours, I think Ron said.
I thought it was 14. It's 14 or
14 or
16.
16.
16
So they
and a half.
can't plow snow all night.
Okay,
See, but
but
that-
you could, why can't you have, if you're gonna rewrite it, you can have a clause in there that says, for people like the street department, you know, without a doubt, are gonna have to come in and work long hours. You're excused from coming into work.
Why are they
because
here
you're gonna
at
get-
8
You're
a.m.
gonna
now?
get your mandatory hours. You're just have an excused absence
Yeah.
until you need to come in and move snow.
see, and that's, I think that's, they worked, you know, in the past, I think they worked out that out by themselves. You know, where we don't have to have that policy, they understand that, so I just more brought that up with regard to questioning if somebody doesn't come in right away, come in later, it might be to protect the, still get things that need to be done, but don't extend the amount of time that, they're limited with regard to within a 24-hour time frame. That's all I was referring to that, I wasn't referring to anything else. Basically, the thing, if we should close City Hall, it affects the ladies in the office, to the most part.
Right, but to Will's point, I think that needs to be written in here, that you don't come in at 8 a.m. when you know you're gonna have snow removal starting at 5 p.m. Because if you don't, you're gonna have guys that are gonna come in regardless.
Just like the state, they pull their plows if
Yeah.
it's shut down, so
But at the same time, I think our employees have pretty much followed that.
Okay.
I don't mind policies if you need it, but if something's broke, then then let's put a policy in there. But I don't know if that concern, unless you have a, better insight than I do, is if we need that.
I think this all originally started out with, from Ron's side of things, was if the town shut down for the last 6 hours of the day and you shut it down, they wanted it so it wasn't such a delayed reaction to City Hall getting shut down.
Yeah,
Cause then if City Hall's getting shut down, then it changes into a different aspect of where then Ron decides how he's gonna plow and get his hours. I think it all stemmed from a delayed reaction of City Hall getting shut down, so then they're under the assumption that they need to work like a normal work day, and then all of a sudden, nope, we're shutting down 4 o'clock. Well, then he's gotta decide how he's doing his hours.
yeah.
So I think it's just more of streamlining the reaction time to actually shutting down. I think how this incipiated.
And with that, there's been times, I know, well, I don't know, because I've been up that time, but they get up pretty early, to clear out the windrows in the middle of the street. It might be 3 o'clock in the morning. And I'm just throwing that, that time frame out there, so.
Sometimes when we, have our meetings changed like to Tuesday and then we just don't get our packets until Monday night, you don't have a lot of time to really investigate things. But I did have a little bit of time today and I called a few places, and not that we have to copycat, we don't have to copycat the county or the other cities, but you wanna be fair. From what I heard today, and like I said, I didn't get very many people called today, you would almost be better with this top policy, because it doesn't have to say the governor, or it could say the governor and the mayor, well, like it does. But then you're not adding the other days if you just can't get in. I don't know what the answer is, but, and the more questions you ask, sometimes the more confusing it is when you call other places, but.
Well, I'm okay with the first one, but I just still want, because I think with regard to any decision in this relationship, in this situation, that I'm authorized to make, I am gonna reach out to other entities to make sure that if we do decide to keep it open, that everything's okay, it looks good, or if there is a concern, then I'm more probably gonna be leaning to, to close. So, with that. So it was just, brought up with regard to, we can leave it. It doesn't have to be changed.
I guess what surprised me today, just on the few people I called, was when the state called for a closure, that's when they get paid, is if the governor calls for a shutdown and you approve it for our city. One of them only had 1 day. So, and it was somebody in our heart of the big storms. So that's why I'm wondering, maybe, yeah, you can ask questions to people, and basically it does say in that bottom one that you are ultimately the one that would
Yeah.
make that decision, so, but,
Basically, what you're saying is that the paid days would only happen if.
The governor
if
shuts.
the governor's the one that made the declaration, not if we're closed because the mayor made the declaration.
unless you happen to be, and that would be something that would have to be changed, is if it truly is, the governor didn't shut it down, but Hank County's getting blasted. And you can pretty much look out your window and see if people can actually travel sometimes, so there would be those people out there.
Yeah, and that's the only problem with, if the governor shuts it down, it's a big state.
Big-
There can be a
Yep.
lot of parts of the state getting hammered, and some will have no snow.
Right.
So
Years
that's
like-
kind of a
years
touchy
like last-
situation.
Yeah, years like last year, we were shut down in Miller more than the state was.
Right,
Just because we had a lot of localized storms last year.
right, so I don't think you can go by the governor's recommendation whether they get a paid day off or not. It's gotta be with what the mayor decides.
Keep it local.
It
Yeah,
says
you
right
have to.
on there, it says, or as deemed necessary by the mayor, right on that first one.
Right, but I think you were just saying they didn't get paid unless the governor shut it off.
Or deemed necessary
Or
by
the mayor, okay, okay.
Our policy gives us that.
I just wanna make sure
Yeah,
that
and that's
that's,
already in that
see,
policy.
that's not the way I understood it,
And I might
but
have
good, I'm glad it's in
misspoke,
there.
so.
Okay, so does the members of the council have big issues with the way the policy is written already? Because it all started with just who the mayor was gonna take recommendations from
And how it's gonna be paid.
and how it's gonna be paid. So I don't think anybody has any issues with the mayor taking recommendations. I mean, that's a no-brainer, obviously. Of who you wanna talk to make your decisions, that's on you.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So then, the only other thing to talk about is how are we gonna do for paying? Are we gonna continue paying for when the city hall is shut down? Are we gonna audit it to a different version? Or are we gonna do none at all?
Do we currently pay when we shut down?
I think Austin was like maybe 2 days last year. I think the county had 14 more days than we had
Yeah.
last year.
The county shut down a lot,
Yes.
No, they're a bigger area.
yeah,
too.
in the country.
Yeah. That'd make a difference.
Or do we wanna do it where we will do a certain amount of days, not to exceed so many days a year?
See, and that's where I was thinking, if you were going to discuss, pay, I would, go, let's say, I'm just gonna throw this number, the first 2 days could be paid, or if we have, the first 2 won't be, but anything after that, because, I think of Cindy, I think she's got, not so much where she lives, but I also think she has young kids, and if the school shut down, things of that sort, and, and she has help, don't get me wrong, I don't wanna throw, put her name out there, but I just think there's other considerations with regard to that. I also think there's considerations if the city hall is open, and for some reason, when it does storm, and I'm guilty of it too, well, let's go out and see what's out there, and you get out there and, if you don't have a four-wheel drive pickup, sometimes you get stuck. But to keep individuals for, maybe coming to City Hall where I can drop my check off or whatever, with regard to that.
And I don't think that really comes into play with anybody, because those people who get out when they absolutely should not be out are the ones that are gonna go out.
Oh, yeah.
Because they think if they come, you're gonna be open, no
Yeah.
matter where you're at, but
Okay?
They're gonna do it either way.
that's the way we see at the hospital even. There can be young people that cancel their appointments because the weather's bad and you shouldn't be out. And then there's 90-year-olds that don't miss it,
Okay.
So there's never a
So
happy
is-
medium.
So before we because, just keep things streamlined, I would like to go to a committee after this council meeting where we
Okay.
don't extend it, because we're starting to get towards winter. I mean, it will happen eventually.
Oh,
It's South
yeah.
Dakota. We will not escape it completely. So,
Maybe you need to
Well, we
pick the
can-
brains of like the street people and electric people a little bit too.
Yeah.
but I think the biggest question is the pay, and that's gonna be us.
I
So-
think that's the biggest
Right.
thing now is what you get paid for. If you can use PTO, well, you can always use PTO if you're snowed in.
we talked about the other day, I have no issue with them being able to use sick leave for those days either.
Right.
Or
Either or.
Because it's
vacation.
time they've earned
Absolutely.
to
I
a
think-
reasonable amount, but their supervisors would have to,
So for sure, the community needs to talk about adding sick leave for days. And then,
Yeah, we had
are we
that.
gonna leave the paid as normal, or do we wanna discuss what we wanna do for paid on snow days.
How long has that pay been in there?
I don't have any idea.
Tony, was it in there when you were, I'm thinking it was in there
Forever.
when I was mayor. So it's been in there for, I'm not saying that for sure, but I'm thinking it's been in there for a while. But that doesn't mean you can't change it, I mean, stuff, so, okay,
A lot of time going over the whole thing that you guys are going over right now.
yeah.
Same,
Okay.
same thing, huh?
Well, let's do,
So do we want to,
Can I make a suggestion? As far as pay, if the mayor closes City Hall, everybody gets paid. If I can't make it and City Hall's supposed to be open, or Cindy can't make it, can I use my sick time instead of my
There you
vacation?
go.
yeah,
Yeah,
Perfect.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
like that.
cause we already talked
Yeah.
that we're definitely,
well, I think we
Oh,
kinda
yeah.
had that in the new,
Yeah.
Yeah.
new
Yeah.
policy.
Yeah, because I mean, it's
Just to
time
stay
you've
clean.
earned.
yeah,
Yeah,
and if that's the
can
only
keep
thing that
that.
we wanna address but we also talked about not doing the pay as well, so we gotta
Well,
discuss that, cause that's
okay,
essentially, once we'd figure that out, then
right,
the committee meeting almost
Then
writes
it's ready.
itself.
okay.
yeah,
And
we
I
can
think
do that.
you might wanna look at, like that one city had a number of days, or maybe more than one had.
Right,
Yeah.
I mean, it should be more
days.
than one, but
Well, and as far as that first way it's written, they get paid for that part right there in the first one on your 5.9. They get paid if it's deemed necessary by the governor and deemed by the mayor. I mean, it could be 5 days, but it's likely, just like some of them, Redfield told me that she had one
From
last
the-
year,
from
and
the
they had a
governor.
lot of snow up in the Redfield area, so, you know, that's all she could remember is where they actually had to pay their employees.
So we can leave it the way where the mayor makes the decision on if employees are going to get paid for a singular day, or, and we can,
I want the council. You control the purse strings and stuff, you know.
I agree.
And the thing of it is, and I don't mind, doing it, no matter what it, and if this is being up to school for as long as I have been, I know when you do close it, you know, probably 95% of the people agree with you, but sometimes you hear that 5%, you know, and, with regard, and I wanna be fair with this too,
Sure.
but the person that I am, I would like to have, you know, I willing to close it, but I think the pay has gotta be up to the council
okay,
with regard to how we do that, you know, so.
And the last thing that I wanna say on the pay part is, I don't know if it's a big deal or not, but if I was one of the people that was out moving snow and City Hall was closed, I'd be a little bit frustrated that everybody's getting paid and maybe only half of us are out there doing anything, but everybody's getting paid as if
right.
they're working.
Mhm.
I can see that leading to resentment and frustration.
Yeah, it does hurt morale.
Yeah. Well,
I know we have.
But that's a department.
yeah.
Shayla's not gonna go out and run the snowplow for him probably,
no,
I'd like to.
but,
I like
I mean, it depends on what you're trained on too. But I understand both parts of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't know if I've heard anything in my last term nor this term with regard to that. Now, that may not, you may not hear that. It may happen, you know, so.
Right.
Anyway, well, let's go with, Councilman, Price's recommendation, then just have a committee meeting, take the input we've had. And if anybody has any additional input, Susan,
Yeah,
Tammy, and Patrick are on that committee, so we can, direct them to.
So if anybody has any more input you want us to consider, please speak up.
yeah, cause I think there's a few things that are still up in the air.
Sure,
we can
All
go
right.
ahead and just get that scheduled then.
okay, all right.
I think he said after this
All right,
meeting.
anyway, we'll move forward, new business, no.
Blatchford Sewer.
Oh, the Blatchford sewer, yes.
Concerned about pay.
Okay, yeah, with regard to, pay, and I wish Terry was here. I know, Councilman, Jones and Councilwoman Hargens and myself and some of you
Yeah.
other ones may have been down there. And then also, visiting with Terry, and you can correct me because you two did as well, and then listening to the, input that Camden had from SPN, when I had her, notify him of the situation, it was just, it was just one of those things. I mean, there was something there and I don't know, what was your takeaway, Bill, with regard to what was said?
Well, that's pretty much what Terry said. Yeah,
What did he?
As far as why it wasn't hooked up?
yeah.
I think there's, it got missed, and it was something that was tough for them to negotiate, because the maps weren't great. And you can point blame, or you can intentionally not point blame if you want. But I think there are a few questions that need to be answered yet. Because after talking with Shayla, Camden said there was discussion when they found that line, and they chose not to hook it back up, or not to hook it up.
So my question is, I thought the beauty of this the new projects was everything is mapped.
It is now.
It is now.
Yep.
Okay, so why wasn't it when they put that in so that anybody who lives along there would know if they're hooked up to
That
the city
line,
sewer?
that line, the way they hooked it up just now was not hooking it up to a new line. They hooked it up to an older existing main line.
But wouldn't you know if you didn't have X amount of houses hooked up? I don't understand the process, I guess.
Well,
This one
bas-
wasn't- They didn't do the street that they hooked him up to this time. He was hooked up to like almost a block south of
Yeah.
him, which is
Yeah.
unusual. It didn't go straight out to Third Avenue where you would think it would have gone. So nobody looked for it down here, because that's not where,
Hit
But
an
they did
old-
find it.
Yeah, they found it.
They
It was,
found it.
yeah.
They just didn't hook it up.
but they didn't know what they were not hooking up, whether it was the trailer houses that used to be there or what they were actually.
But when you pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in engineer fees, I guess, I'm not an engineer, but if I was, I would probably wanna make sure where that line went and that everybody was gonna be hooked up, but,
And after talking with Terry, there were a lot of places that had a lot of lines that they didn't hook up coming down the highway and whatnot.
Yeah.
Even this street here, he said there were so many sewer lines on, right here, just in
Yeah.
this block, that they didn't hook up, but they had the two banks now, before they had more buildings. They had this building, they had more buildings back over the years that were taken out, and the sewer lines were all left there.
Yeah.
So they flushed toilets and did the dye on the ones that were here and made sure they were all good. In this case, they wouldn't have even thought to do Ron because he's up here, and he was hooked up way down here. This is where that extra line was going into,
Dies.
DeHaas. There were two lines that looked like they were going to DeHaas, and one they didn't hook up because they had checked DeHaas, they knew which one was his. This one here.
They didn't realize that's the one that
No.
went up to Ron's.
No.
But there were
No.
people that knew that though.
I can't speak for that. I don't know.
I didn't hear that, but
I
I
would
knew
think
that,
it wouldn't be too tough to just
Yeah.
go up and say, hey, can you throw this dye pack in and flush your toilet?
yeah.
Wait a few minutes and we don't,
Yeah.
they would have known.
because with the amount of money we put into this, and I realize, what has there been, 3 kinda major mistakes. There's been a couple houses that weren't hooked up, including Ron's. And then wasn't there a big problem at the bank? Didn't they get a lot of,
Well, what
Yeah, but
happened,
that's,
that was an
that was
illegal.
different than the
That's a-
sewer?
Yeah, what that
Okay.
was, that should have been going into the storm sewer instead of going into the main sewer, the sanitary sewer.
right.
And when they took and, shut that off, they didn't realize that it was coming off the roof. And then what happened was the water was coming up through the,
But there again, where did they think that water was gonna go?
well,
Cause wasn't this mapped of where all that stuff
The
goes?
mapping just happened.
Yeah.
really.
yeah,
Just like lately, not during all these big projects?
With all the projects, the mapping just happened.
Yeah,
So that building, they checked all the toilets, made sure all of the water was coming to the sewer, they hooked it up. They had no idea that the storm sewer, the rain was going into that, and it wasn't legally supposed to anyway.
right.
But they didn't know it was going in there because they had no way, they wouldn't have gone up on the roof and thrown dye down the downspouts. They wouldn't have even thought about it.
Yeah,
So that was kind of another,
it just had to be
Odd situation.
rerouted to a storm sewer instead of to the sanitary sewer. Because otherwise what happens is you get too much water, you get too much of a load on your sanitary sewer, then we get in trouble. You know, the city does, because we have to take and
our
control
lagoons
that.
fill up way
Yeah.
faster than they're supposed to.
But that was the way it was in the past.
Yeah,
So it's funny, somebody didn't know, but
no, they just
But-
didn't
it's just,
have
it just
an
seems
idea how it
like,
was set up.
When I had talked to you early on there, Camden had, from talking to you, had made it sound like there was a discussion on,
There was,
at the time, and
I don't know who that discussion was with, but he said it's in his notes, they had a discussion, they knew there was another line there, and it was actually in the yard, and I think they found that Ron's was actually out in the street, it sounded like, but it could have angled into the yard. It may or may not have been Ron's, it might have been a different one, but there was a second line that we did not hook up. They had the discussion, they didn't know where it came from.
I guess my question really is there a chance that the person that told them not to hook it up was the mayor at the time?
Could be, I have no
Because I
idea.
think that adds a wrinkle to the whole equation.
Yeah, I have no idea, it could be.
well, and I think that surely should be knowledge of the council if, to know.
I would imagine that Camden's notes say,
We could get those notes from him.
Yeah,
because I think that particular detail makes a difference.
yeah. Have we received a bill yet from them? Okay,
I'm not.
so we don't have to act on anything, tonight with regard to that too, so. Okay, we can find out additional information. You know, just looking at it, sometimes things happen, it just,
It does.
and I think this is one of those situations, it just happened, why, who would think, and again, I guess having, some past experience with, years past as mayor with regard to where sewer lines go and across lots and,
Yeah.
and things like that, some of this stuff shouldn't be all that surprising but it is out of the norm with regard to, certain standards or certain expectations and stuff of this sort, so.
I'm sure there's like a lot of the bigger lots that used to be individual lots. There's buried sewer lines.
Yeah.
I'm sure like we have
We've got 3 lots.
yeah, we got 3 lots, so I mean, we've probably got 3 sewer lines on there.
Yeah.
Future councils are getting spoiled by having a lot more information
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
Yeah,
councils of our generation.
all of this mapping right here that shows all of the, you can tell how deep that street is right there. There's so much information that's just right there.
And these
Yeah,
maps are way
that's
better than
nice.
the ones that they were
Oh,
going
my.
off of.
Yeah,
I saw them today. You don't call those maps.
They were drawings, weren't they?
Some
Yes.
towns just
So
had
there
a
was,
Someone's
piece of
memory.
cardboard.
so the last ones were done in 1991 by employees of just what their best guess of how they've had to work on stuff and knowing where stuff is. So there's so many questions. The previous map before that was, I believe, the
30s
year
or
on that was 27 or 31.
Oh, jeez.
So maps is a generous term for what the projects were going off of when this all started.
it's more of a recollection because I remember Ron saying when he got on, he was asked something, he had no clue. But, people like Gus or some of those guys, they had an idea, but in some cases, those were just guesses and
Oh, yeah.
stuff, okay? All right, so we'll just gather some additional information and
Okay.
with regard to
I'll
that.
ask Camden to send me those notes.
Okay? Tony?
I only have 7 or 8 pages to go through.
Oh, that's all? Okay.
That's okay, we've taken how many, almost 40 minutes on a couple of subjects, so
No,
this might be one of those
be
nights, so
very
that's
brief.
okay.
It's just that I wanted to clarify what I felt after watching the December 6th meeting was implied that my sewer was paid for by the city. And I want to just tell you absolutely not. The city had nothing to do with my sewer. I had Brad Manning and Lenny Fisher tear up my basement, replace all of my sewer system out to the main. That had nothing to do with the city. It cost me approximately $5,000 to have this done. So I've got the receipts if you'd like to see them yet, and that was done in 2012. So it was implied when I looked at it by somebody that my sewer system was done by the city. Absolutely not. And all I want to do is clarify to the council members and to anybody else that was watching that night that the city had nothing to do with it.
Okay,
So,
well, in discussion, I know, Terry reiterated that too as well.
He did.
yeah,
Yeah,
He
I
told
talked
me
to
that
Terry,
as well.
so
okay.
that's good. I just wanted to come here personally.
Well, I appreciate that.
Tell
That's-
Thanks, Tony.
Yes,
Thank
thank you.
you.
Thank you.
Mike?
Well, thank you, Mayor and Councilman, for allowing me to come up here and talk tonight. I was up here in May, I think it was, the May meeting, if I remember right, was last time, and I brought up at that point in time about the snow removal. Kind of forgot all about it because it's been a pretty daggone nice fall, so I got thinking, we're almost Christmas, so I better bring, and we were talking about this again, so I thought, I need to get something going here. And so I wanted to come here and talk about that, but before I got to that, I just want to thank you guys for the support that we've got for the Legion here this last year or two. Things are turning around out there. We're getting quite a bit of, if you happen to go by there quite a few evenings out of the week, you'll see cars in the parking lot. I know some of you guys have been out participating in some of the events out there too. And the businesses in town, we did the Capture the King. Hopefully I'll have, if I don't forget, I'm gonna try to get something in the paper for all the sponsors on the Capture the King event. That's going well for us right now, and we're raising quite a bit of money. We're still a long ways away from our goal though. What I figure it's gonna cost us to remodel and to do that addition and everything, it's gonna be, so I'm hoping the King doesn't come out real soon yet, and I hope we keep getting more players out there so we can raise the funds for that.
If we get nice to the last 10 cards, that probably pay for all of it.
It'll get close there, yes. I think we do have enough though to get started, so that's one of the things we're gonna try to do this spring is get started on some of the construction on the far side. Part of that's gonna be some utilities that we're gonna need to bring in because we're looking at bringing in new service entrances, but we probably won't abandon the old ones, just for the fact that I don't know how we're gonna be able to get at least water and sewer up to those front bathrooms if we do that without tearing out a whole bunch of stuff, so. But we'll probably look at new service entrances for that addition and everything else, so. Have that coming up here. The Miller area businesses, the residents of Hand and the surrounding counties have been really good about participating. We've got quite a few cash donations too, and hopefully I'll get those folks all recognized at some point in time here in the near future. Let's see. One other thing before I get into the snow removal was the light poles. We've been putting the flags up for Memorial Day, Veterans Day, Flag Day, 4th of July. One of the things we talked about is we end at the railroad tracks coming south out of town. We'd like to, and I don't know if I need to get permission from the city to put more flag holders up on the 7 or 8 light poles going down to the Legion. I think that's where the city lights end down there at the edge of city property. But we'd like to be able to do that here for Memorial Day will be our next time we have the flags out on the street. So I don't know if, like I said, I'm not sure if I need to get permission from the city to do that, to put those flag holders up or not. So I'd like to ask that question.
Do you have the flag holders?
Well, we have the flag holders, we'll have the flags for them, we'll have everything we need, we can put them up ourselves, that's not a big issue.
So
I've had to
all-
replace some on Main Street and on Third Street too, so.
So all you need is permission.
I just, before I go and
Granted.
put flags on there and say,
Yeah.
without getting permission from the city council, since you guys own those those light poles, so.
Sure.
What we could do is
I
we
think as
could,
long as somebody should talk to Dustin to make sure that
that's what I was gonna
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
depending on talking to Dustin, we could entertain a motion
Yeah.
with regard to that.
Those are surface clamps, so there's no penetrations into the poles or anything, so.
I can't imagine that he would care, but
No,
still
Yep.
should try to run that by him.
Okay.
Does the state care?
Does the sun,
They shouldn't because the state highway runs
It's the
I mean,
same.
we're running through, we're
This
running
is
down
one.
Main Street and we're running out on Third, you know, all the way out,
Those are
to
both.
It's kind of on the boulevard,
past the
isn't it?
ranch out there.
Well, I would make a motion pending Dustin's approval.
But it's
That-
on the agenda. so
Oh,
I'd
we
rather
gotta
put
do
it on
that?
the agenda.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
So I'd
sure.
rather
sorry.
add it to the agenda.
So we'll put it
next
on
time.
next time to
There you
change
go.
it.
Okay.
We'll do that on the 28th.
Right, that'll give us time to ask
We can do
Dustin.
that.
Yeah,
Well, let me know if I need to be present
No.
to,
No,
You don't.
That'll
Thank
be
you for
a
that,
slam
yes.
dunk.
okay. Okay, getting into the main reason I was here, like I said, the last time in May, I talked about the snow removal. Concerned from the liability perspective, concerned that we have private businesses out there, you know, utilizing that. We do have an agreement with the city, and we're getting compensated for that agreement, for that with, you know, parking lot improvements, and maintenance out there, mowing, trimming around the building, a lot of that stuff, along with the utility support we're getting, so. I didn't know, if, you know, I wanted to get the council's opinion whether it's fair that private individuals that are in it for a profit are dumping snow out there. And as one part of it, and the other part is, do we need to have a release of liability for them out there in case something would happen, you know, an accident or something happened on Legion property, because it'd be private property that it would be happening on, so,
My opinion is that nobody should be dumping it there without your permission.
yep.
Right, so
Yeah.
we should put
That's-
something in the paper to make
that's-
sure everybody knows
And
that.
As far as the liability and whatnot, if you wanna let people dump there,
That's up to
you can
you.
work out a liability deal with them, or you can just tell people they can't dump there.
Yep.
Right,
That's what my thought is on it.
agreed.
I guess to me, it doesn't make one, you know, like I said, I don't wanna, you know, we're trying to get community involvement out there, and I don't wanna make, you know, businesses and stuff, you know, it's not that I don't care, you know, it doesn't bother me at all, it's just,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah,
I
you have
would
to
like
cover-
some-
Like to know.
You have
yeah,
to
I would
cover
like
your
some
tracks.
in-kind support, whether it's coming out and, you know, and participating in events that we're doing out there, you know, if they're gonna be doing that, or a donation, you know, a free will donation or something like that, or
And we
labor
can-
down the road if we're doing some work out there.
And I think we can put it into public record, that'll be published, that City of Miller has an agreement, but we're not speaking for any residents. If you're a resident and want, you're more than welcome to talk to the Legion
Contact Mike at the Legion.
about getting an
Okay.
arrangement with you, whether it is, you just tell people you can, this is your permission,
Okay.
free will donation, but
I'll get an agreement or some type of a contract. It won't really be a contract, but it'll be some type of an agreement that says that they have that permission to do that then.
And
Okay.
I also think if it turns out you have problems with it,
Yep.
let one of us know and
But-
we'll deal with it.
You know, and I have talked to Ron in the past, and he said, well, yeah, you know, he goes, yeah, we know they're coming out there, and a lot of times they help us by pushing up the snow and stuff like that
Oh,
out there
sure.
too, but I mean, you know, I don't know how that, you know, that's the reason I wanted to bring it to the city on that too, because I know there've been times that they brought payloaders out there and pushed up snow to help when there's a lot of snow in the city here. I'm hoping we don't have a winter like last winter for a couple of years, so we don't have to worry about the big piles out there. but-
Right.
Yeah,
and I would hope that most of the for-profit snow removers would,
Yep.
I don't wanna say be generous, but be considerate
Yep.
of the land and at least talking with you
Okay.
first.
and with your liability too, it's good to have, like you say, an agreement with them,
Yep.
so then you can cover that.
So the businesses, the private contractors that do the business,
Yes,
the businesses, they dump out there? So
that's
each-
my understanding.
So they would have to then,
Yep.
okay,
Well, it'd be the contractors doing the snow removal, cause I don't think it'd be the business that's having it done. I think, I'm not
Right.
in the
Yeah.
business, so I don't
Right.
know. You know, I know, Will, I think you do some snow removal. I don't know who you do it for, if you dump it out there or not. I have no idea, but
No, I've never dumped any snow out there and
I-
we move a lot of snow.
yeah, I know there's a lot of people that do come out there though, cause I've heard it, you know, in
Yeah.
the past. I just don't know any names in particular, you know, I'm not gonna put any names out there. I've heard rumors, but I don't want that do it, you know, use it frequently for that, so.
I guess as far as I think
Okay.
I go, just to tell them, hey, we are not, City of Miller is not the landowner out there. If you're
Yeah.
going to try to work out any deal, you need to be talking to the Legion because they're the landowner
Okay.
out there.
Right.
Yeah,
And I would appreciate, you know, from the street department too, if they see somebody out there, just to ask them, you know, if they see them dumping out there, just ask them if they've talked to the Legion, had permission to do it. I mean, I can't be out there all the time, well, I'm not,
We don't expect you to be.
Put a
Yeah.
game camera.
yeah,
so basically you're just looking for for permission, not a fee if they're
Yeah,
for profit?
you know, I'd rather have them just do a free will donation, you know, if it's important for them to haul it there versus hauling it someplace else out of town, you know, it's saving money for them if they would help, you know.
Sure.
We're looking to try to raise funds, I mean, that's what this all comes back to,
Sure.
to remodel and
So
stuff.
they could sign a permission thing and then give a free will donation at
yep.
the end of the
At the end of the
winter?
year, if
Or-
they use it a lot, and, you know, that's, or if they wanna do it and work in kind of some
I would say
sort.
trade out labor of some
Yeah.
sort, cause a lot of construction type guys are doing that, snow removal in the winter. They could come out when you're ready to start building the building and
Yep.
get it done, or siding, or whatever.
Yep,
Yeah.
you know, that's what we're looking at. Originally, we thought we would do a lot of the remodel with our, volunteer labor in-house. I can't get them in. get
Not so
three
much
people together
volunteer.
to do a project out there, so I'm not gonna try taking on a remodel, so we're gonna have to contract that out at some sort, so. And have a general on it at least, and I'd like to have all the businesses support, you know, that are in the construction business, help out there, you know, and once again, go through, have somebody, one person general in it, and everybody else coming in and providing, so it's not a burden on one business at all, you know, but, and we would compensate, I mean, we're planning on paying, you know, that's why we're trying to raise money, so,
I
pay
think
for
it
that.
could be a good arrangement for everybody involved as far as snow. I think it
yeah.
doesn't have to burden anybody and go from there.
I would ask them for, put the Legion as another insured though, just in case they do run into a pole or the building or whatever, I would ask them for insurance to make sure they have
Okay.
proof of insurance. And to
Good idea.
list the Legion as a,
I will try to get some type of, I'll go get some legal counsel to try to get an agreement that's gonna work for what we're talked about here tonight then and get that put together, hopefully within the next couple weeks, so.
Because basically they don't dump snow close to the buildings or anything, maybe some poles?
Not to my knowledge, they don't, I can't really tell you, cause I'm not around during, when they're doing a lot of the dumping, so I'm not
Right.
sure. I think they're all backing up to where the city pushes it up there and just dumps there, and
I think you'd have to miss by a long ways to hit a pole.
yeah.
we do have a couple poles, I know, around that rodeo grounds or whatever you wanna call it out
Yeah,
there.
that's
And we
kinda
have
where they-
bleachers setting out there, and as long as the snow stays like it is right now, we're not gonna have any problem this winter, so.
Stays just like it is, right?
Good,
Yeah.
good luck on that.
We'll all vote for that.
Yes,
All right.
I gave Ron your number.
okay.
Do you need Ron's number? Do you have Ron's number?
I might have, I know Kevin, I think Kevin always contacted him before,
Okay.
so.
I can just send it to you after the
Okay,
meeting too.
yeah, if you would do that. And I think I have Dustin's too, cause I need to talk to him about the service entrances and stuff too, so.
Well, I'm just gonna say on behalf of the council, I wanna thank you, past leadership and members, thank them, but also thank you for all the improvements that you've made out there. I mean, all you have to do is, on the exterior, you can see, you know, how things have been upgraded and things of that sort, so I commend you for, and all those, members with you and stuff.
I was gonna say, it's not a one-person
No,
show
I-
out there, you know, I might be in the leadership role, but I got a lot of people that got great ideas and they're following through out there too, you know, and they're supporting it, so.
And the wives.
In the waves, we've got, I cannot
We
forget
did
the
a lot of
auxiliary.
painting, so we better include
Yeah.
that.
I cannot forget the auxiliary, they've been doing a fantastic job out there too, so, supporting all these events. We've got a lot of stuff scheduled, it's been about 3 nights a week we're out there, so.
I just say thanks too for bringing that medical marijuana informational meeting out there.
What's that?
The medical marijuana informational meeting, I went out to that. That was very informative. That was, I looked down at my clock watched when it was done. It was almost over 2 hours, almost 2.5 hours.
Really?
Never imagined it would last that long.
Yep,
That fella that spoke really knew his stuff. Been around it a long time.
yep. Well, good.
So yeah, I
I didn't
appreciated
make it
that.
out there that night. I don't know where we were at. I was probably at some event somewhere. I'm not sure. Seems like we're out of town as much as we're in town.
Well, extend our appreciation, you know, to everyone with regard to everything, and it's one thing I had on my calendar, and darn it. Anyway, I've said I didn't look at it. Any other questions? Anything else, Mike?
Well, once again, thank you. I
Yes.
appreciate all the support I've got from the city here, so, and look forward to the continued support going forward. Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you.
All right.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Mike.
Okay, moving on, on page 6, you will see it's, change of dates for the 2024, meeting. And, basically for the holidays as far as the New Year's, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, President's Day, and Labor Day. Now, each of those are the following Tuesday, as you can well see.
Should work.
I make a motion that we adopt the meeting date changes as listed for 2024.
I'll second.
Discussion. Motion and second has been made to adjust the meeting dates for 2024 with regard to recognizing the holidays. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Okay, the next thing on there is just the St. Lawrence Intergovernmental Agreement. How long have we had this agreement, Sheila? You know,
This would be 4 years maybe?
okay,
It's been quite a while.
okay, and that agreement,
Possibly getting on to 5? I'm not
holy
sure.
smokes. That agreement is found on page 7 through 11. Do we upgrade this renew it every year? Is that what we do? Okay, basically, the policy hasn't changed.
The only thing, last year we upped it from $800 to $1,000 a month because of all the project stuff over in St. Lawrence. So that we were compensated for the extra time for the projects.
Okay,
Is there anything this year that you feel as though needs to be considered, or do you feel as though that the agreement is right on par with where it needs to
I
be?
think it's pretty good. I mean, Christie spends most of the time, tomorrow we have to have an emergency meeting for St. Lawrence. We're gonna use City Hall here, so I don't have to go to St. Lawrence, they're all gonna come here, but, that's helpful too, cause we have space here and contractors and whatnot can be done here. I really don't, it's, because we're so efficient after all of our projects, we know what to do quickly and how to do it. If we hadn't had all of our projects, it would probably take more than that $1,000, but we're,
It strikes me as being kind of cheap.
huh?
Yeah.
Strikes me as being
Yeah.
cheap.
Well, is
might be a
this,
good neighbor too.
Yeah.
is this contract intended to be forever? Or was it to get them through the construction?
No, we started it before, way before the construction.
But you knew, if I remember right, the construction was coming up, and I didn't know if the plan was, I wasn't,
I don't really know
on
at this
that.
point, it probably depend on St. Lawrence if they wanna pull, or if there's some reason that we say we can't do it anymore. With it down to one meeting a month, and that meeting is less than half an hour, because of our efficiency, everything's flowing so much smoother over there. To find a finance officer to work those few hours that understands all the stuff that you need to know, regardless of if it's a 10-hour job or not, there's just so many laws and stuff that, for them to find somebody, unless there's like a retired person or something that wants to do it, that's already knows all that stuff, it's pretty tough to find somebody to
Right.
keep things legal there.
Excuse me, about how many hours do you spend a month?
Christie spends, well, the project, I probably spend maybe 2 hours a month, cause I'm the one that Camden comes to for questions and stuff. Christie, I would guess, maybe spends 8 hours by doing the project, or doing the agenda, getting everything set up, getting bills done, getting Shirley here to sign things, and
8 hours per month?
per month probably. So probably 10 to maybe, on a big month, maybe 15, but
So, $100 an hour? Not bad.
Approximately.
I think you.
it's a win-win. It's a lot less than what they were paying,
And it's getting done right,
yes.
from somebody who has to deal with that. It's done right.
Yep.
You call and they say, here.
So, yeah, we're not losing money on it, so. I don't,
I just didn't know if it was a forever thing when it was
Meant to be a
started.
short-term thing, or if it was meant to be a permanent thing?
Yeah,
Might be.
I don't know that
Eventually.
anybody knew when we signed up, because it was just, we've gotta get them through this, get them to where they qualify for grants and loans, because they didn't qualify, cause things hadn't been done for years. A lot of house cleaning, when we first started, it was a lot of hours, it was an awful lot of hours, because we had to do back years of annual reports, and it was just a lot of work. but now it just kinda happens.
Yeah.
And this is yearly renewal, you said?
Yeah.
I guess
But like this contract here is nothing different than last year's,
It's the
right?
exact same one.
Exact same one?
make a motion that we approve the St. Lawrence Intergovernmental Agreement for the year of 2024.
I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, the motion on the table is to enter into the, agreement with the St. Lawrence Intergovernmental Agreement for the year 2024. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Next thing on the agenda is the Northwestern Corporation, on page 12 and, to 14. I can, basically go through, what they're doing is they're restructuring. And I can just, I highlighted some things, I can just read through that if you, with your permission. And there's some other things with regard to Montana, North Dakota, Nebraska, and so on. As part of the restructuring, ownership of Northwestern South Dakota and Nebraska assets and related contractual obligations will be transferred to a new subsidiary, Northwestern Energy Public Service Corporation. That's the first paragraph. In the second paragraph, the Northwestern Corporation requests your consent to assign this agreement to Northwestern Public Energy Service Corporation effectively 1st of January 2024. It's not going to have any changes. That underneath the bullet of the letter, it says Northwestern Corporation will continue to conduct utility operations in Montana. We will continue to conduct businesses under this name, Northwestern Energy, in all service territories. The assignment will not modify the terms and conditions of the agreement other than the identification of the parties, and we do not anticipate changes in the working relationship of our respective companies. After July 1st, direct all invoices and payments to Northwestern Energy Public Service Corporation.
January 1st.
January 1st, what did I say?
July.
July.
Make a motion that we sign Northwestern Corporation.
I'll second.
agreement.
Had a motion and a second? Discussion. Hearing none, motion on the table is to enter into the agreement with Northwestern Corporation. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed the same, motion carries. Okay, on pages 12, or 15, for January 12th and 13th, it's the Farm and Home Show. Last year we had a booth, and this year they're asking us if we would like to have a booth, and also if we would want to give a donation. I think, what was that? Would like to help sponsor the pancake feed. And this is on a Friday and a Saturday.
And the pancake feed is free, correct?
Yes.
Shayla, did we give money to this last year?
We've never actually given any money, just the money that it costs to have the booth. We've never actually donated any money, so we didn't
Okay.
budget for it. Not that it's a large amount of money, but whatever it would be, I should give 10,000, but no, we have never given any. We just paid for a booth.
I guess I'm personally in support of the booth rent and
Okay.
keeping it the way it was in the past.
Maybe we can put a note in for next year to put something in the budget to give a donation.
Is there any money available that you could use it if we made a donation? Because it is for actually the people who fund our city.
I think it'd be a good thing to donate to it.
It's not
Yeah.
like it's
Yeah.
that much, it's not gonna hurt our budget one way or the other, so if you.
I think we could do $100 to it.
I mean, that's not gonna hurt.
Okay.
Yes, at all.
Is that what the number we're looking at is?
Well, there's 25, 50, 100, or other.
Yeah, I'm
I
fine
think
with
it's a
that.
good PR thing for the city, giving back to the
Yep.
constituents.
I'll make a motion, we rent a booth and donate $100.
I'll
Second.
second it. Go ahead.
I beat you.
Okay, discussion. Okay, second, motion and a second has been made to.
Before we, do we need electricity? If we're filling that
We've
out.
never used it.
Provided for you.
Oh, well,
No,
It asks.
I'm just
everything.
asking the questions on the rest of the form,
Oh,
Yeah,
and we don't need a door prize.
no.
Okay.
We are the door prize.
Pancakes.
and everybody's gonna be able, I mean, are you gonna be able to find people to work that? And what do you want for a topic? That's something I wanna think about.
Do some of the city employees go to that?
We haven't in the past, it's been all council.
I think, in my opinion, with the new project that Dustin has going on, he could answer those questions.
Oh, about the meters.
About the meters, to have the department heads that, you know, there's things going on, it would be a good, I think, for them to be able to answer the questions unless they're already scheduled out for that.
How about information on the pool?
well,
The pool
Yeah.
would be really good, it would,
Wish we had more on it.
We need to wait till
We
January.
need to wait.
Yeah, because that.
This
thing's
will be
not-
January.
Probably not even gonna
Yeah.
look like we want.
There's a specific date in January that we are,
Looking at, okay, that's fine, because I just happened to look and see swimming pool, and I was like, oh, that'd be a good idea.
Well, the
I
one,
Okay.
have had pool in my sights.
Okay.
We will be having a discussion in January after a certain 5-year date has elapsed.
okay.
Okay, perfect.
Having said that, going out to Pier for an appointment and going by that Pier pool, that is pretty doggone nice.
It's nice, but from
I mean-
my understanding, there's been some pretty big train wrecks with that also.
Yeah,
It only
yeah,
took like
yeah.
3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I want to say the
Okay.
original, I don't want to get off topic, but the original budget was 7 or 8 million, and then it's, don't quote me, but I want to say it's close to like 11 or 13.
okay. All right, we have a motion and a second on the table to have a booth at the Farm and Home Show and also donate $100 towards the pancake feed. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Okay, end of the year meeting, December 28th. 8 AM work, 1 PM work?
how long do you think it'd take?
well, if we keep it to just the bills, because our January meeting is the next Tuesday,
Right,
we can add the Legion to that or whatever. 5 minutes.
oh.
I would
okay.
really like to
Yeah.
do it at 8 AM because we're going away for our family Christmas.
Okay.
Works
Yeah,
for us.
that works for
I can
me.
do 8 AM.
I'd
Yeah.
much rather do 8 than,
I just had
Yeah.
something at 11:30, so this'll work
Oh.
just fine.
We'll be done by
Yeah.
then.
If you put it 8,
No
I'll remember
problem.
it.
So 8 AM on
Okay.
Thursday, the 28th.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay,
I will send out the agenda then this Friday. I
That's
guess I
next
could
week,
come
isn't
in and do it
So that's
Wednesday morning at 7.
Okay.
Sure.
Because all that should be on there.
I'm
should
holding
be-
you to that 5-minute time limit.
yeah,
Why do you have therapy?
I'll be at work.
Oh,
oh, yeah,
are you back to work already?
I was started yesterday,
wow.
Okay.
To North Dakota and back today.
Jamestown, 400 miles.
January the 16th, I'm gonna be gone. I'll
Okay.
be out of the country.
Okay.
Oh, the country, that sounds like fun. Can we have our council meeting wherever you're
Yeah.
We can Zoom.
We can have a jump.
That wasn't what I had.
We wanna
Yeah, you
Zoom
could
with
Zoom and make everybody very jealous.
Building permit.
Okay,
Okay.
Even Jen gets.
Oh, wait, I'll make a motion, we do the December 28th year-end meeting at 8 AM.
Second.
discussion. Motion on the table to the year-end meeting at December 28th at 8 AM. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Okay, building permit, Nathan Van Zee's fence.
Move to approve.
I will second.
Looks good.
Aye.
It's all been signed
The
off.
brush he took out looks a lot better.
The fence you already put in, how's that?
Well, maybe
Yeah.
that looks good too.
And I did have a question about that from someone asking, and I don't have any idea how it works, but the good side of the fence is supposed to be
Out,
out,
usually, yeah.
You're supposed to look at the cruddy side.
and that's the opposite. His goes to his house. I haven't looked at it.
I'll give him a hard time.
Well, I said, that's probably,
It's up
if
to
he
you
had a
guys.
residence, beside him, it would probably make a difference.
Right.
Ben's, you're not having, you know, Ben's, it's not your house next to it. It shouldn't make any difference because there's not a house
He's
there.
not subjecting anybody to that.
No, no. So,
It's
and I
better than
think,
what was there.
yes, and they were satisfied with that answer and I.
Good job.
But I just thought,
Yeah.
so that they know it was brought up.
I'm not observing.
Mike, that was
where
your
the fence got put
motion?
up.
No, it was one of these fellows over here.
Okay, do you wanna include, pending all department head approvals?
Sure.
Okay,
That was my intent.
I
I
know,
don't think I said it.
no,
Ross did.
Ron, okay? Have a motion, do we have a second? We have a second?
We did it.
Yes.
We
Yep.
did? Okay, a
Sure,
motion
we'll
on a
second.
second to approve the, with, department heads, all the department heads signing off on the permit for Nathan Van Z's fence. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries.
Make a motion, we approve the bills.
Second,
Discussion?
I would like to abstain because there's a thing in there for our.
travel voucher.
The travel voucher, yeah.
Okay. All right. I have a motion and a second on the discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion paid. The bills are paid.
Make a motion that we move to executive session.
Okay. All right.
Before we do that, can I ask a question about building permits?
Yes.
Real quick. If you're taking out a fence and replacing it with a new one, do you have to have a permit? I mean, if you're not changing the footprint?
You shouldn't have to if you're not changing it.
If you're not changing it, not moving it at all, I wouldn't think you'd need.
Fences at one time you didn't have to have a building permit, but I think that became an issue that where the fence was located,
On the property
and make sure it was on the property.
I found one when I was taking out trees.
I got a
Nobody knew it
motion,
was
but I
there.
don't have a second.
I'll
Vote second.
third,
All in
fourth.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. We'll go into executive session. At 8:12. Yeah, if we was going 13, we'd have waited another.